If you're struggling to land real estate photography clients, it's probably not your work, it's your marketing. In this video, I'm going to show a simple step-by-step plan that will get you gigs and will also turn that into long-term clients with repeat work. The key to this is to bear in mind as we go through these steps is this isn't about going viral, it's not about cold calling, it's not about spamming. What this is a plan to show legitimacy by taking deliberate actions and deliberate steps in the proper order. The first thing you need to do is a little bit of prep work, and we need to do this so that we can show legitimacy by showing that we're actually serious about getting into real estate photography. Now, if you've already been doing real estate photography for a while and you're just not getting clients, you still should think about this because what we're trying to do here is to show that we're in this for the long haul. We're not in this just as a hobby. This is a serious business, and so you want to be taken seriously as you move forward. In this prep work, you need to have a very simple portfolio. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. The problem is that there's a bit of a chicken and egg paradox. I'm going to address that here in just a second. But all that you need is really just about 10 photos, but they need to be really good photos, and they need to be something of an attraction. That this really shows that you know how to shoot really good real estate. It's not just shooting a standard exterior of a house. The hardest part is doing something inside. So it's a matter of getting stuff like kitchens and bathrooms and also maybe some twilight photos because those really stand out and those have that ooh and ah factor to them. To get this portfolio, we have to overcome that chicken and egg paradox. And that's that to get gigs, you need a portfolio, but you can't build a portfolio without having gigs. That's only partially true because what you should do is first you do need to practice. Part of your prep work should be that you can actually shoot your own house, apartment, wherever you live, no matter what the condition. You need to be able to prove to yourself that you can do this. So you do need to practice at home first and get really, really good. This is key because you don't want to just be good enough and just be another photographer in the fray. You want to be able to stand out. So that first prep step is just do it at home and practice, practice, practice. Practice shooting, practice composing, and practice your editing. Get really good. Even though later you may outsource your editing, you want to make sure that you cover all bases initially when you're first starting out. Besides shooting your own home, you also might have friends that have some newly remodeled rooms possibly. Maybe they didn't just remodel their kitchen, maybe they just had a bathroom remodeled, or maybe they've got a really nice looking property that you can do a twilight shoot for. So that's what I did when I first started out, is that I wanted to get into this and I practiced at home, and then I had some friends that had some nicely remodeled homes, and I went in and I shot a few things. Remember that you don't need a lot of photos. You just need a few photos that can really show what you're doing, because that portfolio will grow over time. During our initial steps, though, that we're going to see as we go forward here, we only need just a few photos in that portfolio. So once you have maybe about 10 really good photos, it's time to move on to the next steps. But I did want to just mention real quick before we move on to that, is that if you do need to improve on your real estate photography, or if you want to learn more about real estate photography, then I invite you to take a look at my online courses and books on real estate photography. And I have links to all of that down in the description of this video. The next step may sound a little outdated since we're going into 2026, but it really is important still even today, and that's that you need to have a very simple website that is dedicated only to your real estate photography. You need to be able to convey that you're professional, and every professional business has a website. You need to have a presence. It can be just one page, and on that page, it can have your portfolio, whatever you're growing into now. So it can be very simple, but you want to keep this separate from anything else that you're doing. So if you're doing landscapes or maybe some family portrait work, it's best to keep that someplace else and just have this particular website to show that this is what you do. You do real estate photography. We're going to utilize that here coming up. The next thing, though, that you want to make is an Instagram page that is dedicated just to your real estate photography. So this is simple to that web page where you don't want to mix stuff together. If people are going to take you seriously, then you have to show that you are serious about doing real estate photography. So you don't want to just be sharing some family photos. You want to show, I do real estate photography. Even if it only has a few photos on it, that's better than having none or having it mixed up, because remember, as we progress, these things are going to grow. But when we first go out to get clients, we just need to have this little bit of presence. The next step in your prep work is to make a QR code to your website. Now, this is real easy to do. You want this QR code made so that people obviously can just scan it with their phone and immediately go to your portfolio, where you're going to have also information about you. That's your website, not your Instagram page. Once again, show professionalism. Everybody can get an Instagram page, but if you're serious about doing business, then your business has a website. Now, there are a number of ways to make a QR code. You can use Adobe Express if you have an Adobe subscription. It doesn't cost anything to use Adobe Express. And in there, you can not only make a QR code, but you can customize it. They even have templates to make business cards, because that's the next thing you want to do, is you want to place this QR code on a business card that you can hand out, and you'll see why here in just a little bit. But make a very simple business card. You can order like 50 business cards on, I think, Vistaprint for about $10, $20. It's next to nothing to get some business cards made up. Keep them simple, get that QR code on there, and you can change the business card later, but you at least have to have some. So get that QR code made, get some business cards made, and make sure that you receive them before we really start engaging some of our clients. The next thing, before we start reaching out to clients, is you want to have a price established. So you want to have some type of price list. Now, we don't want to put this on our website, because all that people will do is they'll scan that QR code, then they'll go out to your website, they'll see what you cost, and they'll either make a decision right there and then. That's not what we want. We don't want people to just make a decision on price. That's called the race to the bottom. We want people to buy us for our quality, hire us to do really good real estate photography. That's where you'll really stand out, and that's what gets the repeat work. Setting your price also requires its own set of homework, but I do have another video on that on my YouTube channel here, and I've got a link to that down in the description, so you can watch that video and get an idea on how you should price your real estate photography and what it probably costs in your area. I did one here just recently at the end of 2025, so you'll see a link to that. That should help you set your prices. But now it's time to start prepping ourselves to reach out to particular clients. To find the clients that you want to work with, this is different than just spamming everybody or going viral and hoping somebody gives you a call. We don't want hope. We want to have targeted marketing. We want to know who we're going to work with. This gives you a better chance of working with quality clients instead of just somebody who they could just be working out of the basement of their parents' house and selling one home a year. You're not going to get a lot of work from that person. You're probably going to get a lot of headache. So what you do is you can go on to Realtor.com and you can look for houses in your area. I suggest Realtor.com if you're in the United States. If you're outside of the United States, there's other similar websites. But I don't recommend using Zillow. The reason being is that Zillow and sometimes Redfin, they'll try to favor their agents that are paying them, not the ones that are listing. You want to make sure that you find the listing agent. So using Realtor.com, do a search for your city. In that list then that comes up, look at some of the listings and where especially the photos could use a little help. If they're low quality photos, this is fantastic because it gives you an edge. But what you do then is you click on one of those properties and then you'll be able to find who listed it. Now you'll be able to then go and see by that person's profile in Realtor.com if they've sold a lot of houses or if they're just new. You do want somebody with experience, but once again, the lower quality photos, the better. Anyways, you want to then find that person's email address. It might not be on this search website that you're looking at, like in this case, Realtor.com. You might have to actually go to that realtor's own website. But either way, you want to record three things. You want to record this person's name, their email address, and the property address that you just saw, because this is going to go into an email that we're going to craft here in just a little bit. The key, though, is that you want to do this for about 5 agents initially. You can do it for about 10, but you really don't want many because this is an organic process where you're probably going to have to pivot along the way. If you blast everybody right up front and you've got wrong information or you're not ready or something is not really looking good to these realtors because of whether it's your website, your work, or whatever, you don't want to blast that to the masses. We want to inch into this very slowly. That'll make sure that we don't get a bad reputation across town. At this point, you're pretty well ready to start reaching out to clients, but you have to do it at the right time. The worst thing you can do is to reach out to clients during the slow months. So typically it's during the spring through the summer, right into the fall. That's when realtors are getting listings that they need to then hire photographers to shoot. If you're trying to reach out near the holidays, around Christmas, New Year's, during the winter months where it's really slow, you're really not going to get a lot of attention. So what you want to do is during this time, if you're doing it during the winter, then that's the time to do all your prep work. Now you can do prep work at any other time during the year, but during that downtime gives you an advantage to really take the time to practice, to really start gathering up all the info that you want, building out your website, your Instagram, getting your QR code and your business card made. But then once it starts getting into spring, for instance, in the United States here and most of Europe, that's going to start in around March. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, well, things are a little bit opposite, but you know that. But anyways, here in the United States, we'd begin right around March, and that's when you would then reach out to the first realtor on that list. And in that list, with the first realtor, you want to construct a very personalized email. The subject should simply be photography for your listing, or you can also include that address that we just talked about. But in the body of the message, you want to say something like, I saw your listing at, and then give them the property address, and wanted to reach out. I'm a local real estate photographer and I actually live close by. If you ever need photography for an upcoming property in the area, I'd offer you 50% off your first shoot. You can see examples of my work on my website at, and then give them your website address. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to contact me at your convenience. Then wait. Only do this to one. Wait about a week. If that realtor doesn't respond within about a week, they don't really have anything that's of interest or somehow that didn't interest them, but 50% off is really good. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing freebie shoots because freebie shoots show that you're not confident enough to charge for your work. So how good could you really be? So anyways, you want to do one, and then about a week later, nothing's happening. Do the second one on the list. Send that same email, wait about a week. During this time, and you're sitting there by the phone waiting for it to ring, practice, practice, practice. You could work on even refining your website, maybe your Instagram page, but keep practicing and also reach out to friends of yours that might have some shoot-worthy rooms in their house. Try to do more. The idea is to keep refining your process. Even after you get clients, this is something you'll still want to keep doing. After all the years that I've done this, I'm still refining my process every time I go out and shoot. Well, almost, but you get the idea, is that you want to use the downtime to your advantage. That's skill building. Then after you go through these week after week, you're getting some calls maybe. You should be, after a few weeks, getting some of these realtors to call you back, at least reach back out, give you some type of response. If you're not getting any response at all after reaching out to about 5 realtors that you did research on, you might want to, at that point, just step back and revisit what's going on. You could go up to 10 and maybe blast out a couple more emails at a time per week, but especially if you're doing this during the hot season from spring through the summer and you're not getting any response, then something probably is wrong. But there are other steps that we can take besides just this to get our first 5 clients. First, remember that it only takes one client to get referrals. One of the things that's very unique to real estate photography is that every time we shoot something, every potential client in our area sees our work because it goes out on listing sites. So other real estate agents that are looking to represent buyers, they're also looking for new properties to come on the market. So when they do, they see those properties, and if your photos stand out, they're going to ask that listing agent, who does your photography? Immediately, you get a referral. So that's something to bear in mind. You don't need to start out with all 5. You don't need to start out with all 10. You really need one. But after all this emailing, if you're still not getting any response, then you might want to start going to some open houses that are just very local to your area. This is where the business card comes in, and it can be also a tricky proposition. You don't want to go to an open house during its busy time. You'll just be a nuisance. The realtor will just be annoyed and probably won't want to call you back. So they've already got a photographer that did this listing. That's good. But if you can do a better job, or maybe even be there to backfill when their photographer isn't available, that could be a good thing. So real estate agents are usually very much open to new photographers for these reasons. So what you do is you go near the end of the open house. Let's say that the open house is scheduled from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So what you can do is right around 3:30, you can show up and you just do a few simple things to keep the conversation short. Have a business card ready, meet the realtor, and tell them, it's like, hello, introduce yourself, you're a real estate photographer, hand them your business card, tell them that I saw that you had an open house, really love this, however you want to compliment them, but keep it very short and let them know that I'm local to the area, and if you ever needed anybody else to help out with doing your real estate photography, then please feel free to give me a call. And that's it. Thank them for their time and move on. You don't want to then take a tour through the house. You don't want to waste their time. You want to show that you're very efficient and that you're also respectful of their time and them as a person. But this is kind of a second step. You should already have some clients already in the queue. You should already have some that have responded from your email. At this point, not getting any response from your email and also not getting responses from maybe going to a couple open houses that are local, then you really need to step back because something else could be going on, but this could be a good thing. Reevaluating everything that you do is a constant challenge in any business if you want to be successful because things change all the time. But more so when you're first starting to get clients, there could be something seriously wrong. And it could be something very simple that needs to be changed, but you do need to have that corrected. So if the emailing isn't working, and I'm not talking about blasting, I'm talking about those targeted emails to specific clients that you did your research on, if you got no responses, and if you're getting no responses from visiting some open houses, and it's during the busy season, then time to step back. Take a look at what you're doing, but more importantly, have someone else take a look at it that knows the industry. If you know someone in real estate, great. You can talk to them, tell them what you're doing. They might be able to help out. I also provide remote photography coaching. You can email me for pricing and availability on that. And by the way, all of my students get a 50% discount off those Zoom sessions. But you need to take a step back and take a look what could be going on. It could be something with your portfolio. It could be something with your Instagram. It could be something with you yourself. There could be a few personality tweaks. And I've come across this before where sometimes people aren't as confident when they're talking to somebody or conveying something. So a few little things like that, a few little changes can really make a big difference. But bear in mind, this is why we didn't blast to the masses. One of the biggest mistakes that I see new real estate photographers make is they buy some list of real estate agents in their area and they just email everybody, hire me, hire me, hire me. Well, if they get a reputation that they're not that great because of one simple mistake, everybody's going to know about it because all of these agents, they network. So starting out slow allows you to pivot, to change course. When things aren't going right, get the proper feedback, course correct, and then go out and try that again. So once you course correct, then you can go back and follow those steps of researching some more realtors in your area. Just get a list of about 5, maybe 10, and slowly start emailing and reaching out to them. After a while, guaranteed, you will get some type of response. You should be getting clients, you should be getting gigs. And remember, all that it takes is to get one gig and really make someone happy and some good standout photos and also standout service, and that will help you then get referrals. But remember, the key to all of this is to do it with intention, and that means that you do your research on the clients that you want to work with, because it's more than just getting gigs. It's about getting clients. They're going to be able to give you repeat work, which is much better than constantly marketing, constantly struggling just to get gigs. Instead, after a while, all of this marketing goes away because you'll have established long-term clients that will want to continue working with you for many, many years as a professional real estate photographer.